Have you ever looked at someone and wondered why they avoid people so aggressively, why they don't trust anyone, don't want friends, don't like social gatherings, and sometimes even say they hate people? Most assume they're rude, arrogant, or antisocial by choice. But the truth is far more complicated, because people who say they hate people usually don't hate people at all. They hate disappointment. They hate betrayal. They hate the feeling of giving someone a chance only to be let down. They hate fake kindness, manipulation, and hidden motives. They hate the masks people wear more than the people themselves. And somewhere inside them, they carry a story, one that shaped the way they see the world. People who claim they hate people often learned this mindset slowly, over years of observing how human beings can be selfish, unpredictable, unreliable, or cruel. It might start in childhood, where they watched adults lie, break promises, criticize, shout, or emotionally disappear. Or it might begin later in life, after being backstabbed by friends, cheated on by a partner, manipulated by family, or used by people who pretended to care. Eventually, the human mind learns a painful rule. If people hurt me enough times, I'll protect myself by avoiding them altogether. This is not hate, it's self-defense. For many of these individuals, the world feels safer when they keep their distance. They don't want drama, chaos, loud personalities, or unpredictable behavior. They prefer silence over noise, solitude over forced conversations, and small circles over large groups. Whenever they are around too many people, their nerves tighten, their energy drains, and their mind whispers, "Get out of here before something goes wrong." They aren't shy, they're cautious. They aren't bitter, they're observant. They aren't cold, they're tired. These people also have incredibly sharp perception. They notice things others miss: body language, tone changes, hidden intentions, pretended friendliness. They can spot fake behavior instantly. They see when someone is lying, manipulating, or acting nice, only to gain something later. Their radar is always on, and this heightened awareness makes social interaction exhausting. They feel things deeply, but don't express it. They observe people quietly and walk away when something feels off. And because they don't tolerate hypocrisy or dishonesty, they often find themselves alone, but they prefer that solitude over forced friendships. People who hate people often carry emotional scars they don't talk about. They might have been bullied, rejected, used, or betrayed repeatedly. They learned that getting close to others is dangerous. They learned that trusting the wrong person can destroy peace. So over time, they built walls, not small fences, but thick, high walls reinforced with self-preservation and survival instincts. And behind those walls, they feel safe. They might seem tough, sarcastic, or detached, but beneath that exterior, there is usually someone who once cared too much and got hurt too deeply. They also value authenticity more than anything. If someone is real, honest, direct, and emotionally consistent, they open up slowly, carefully, cautiously. People who genuinely hate people cannot stand shallow conversations, fake greetings, or surface-level interactions. They prefer meaningful connections, or no connections at all. They would rather have one real friend than 50 acquaintances. And they don't fear loneliness, because to them, loneliness is not painful. What's painful is being surrounded by people who make them feel alone. There is another layer to this psychology: control. When someone's life has been shaped by unpredictable behavior from others' parents who argued, partners who lied, friends who shifted personalities, they learn that being around people means losing control. But being alone means regaining control of their environment, emotions, and mental stability. This doesn't mean they're antisocial. It means their nervous system feels safer when fewer variables exist. They know that people can change suddenly, hurt impulsively, and bring chaos without warning. So they choose the path that gives them emotional predictability. Many of these individuals struggle with trust, not just in others, but in themselves. They fear misjudging someone again. They fear repeating past mistakes. They fear giving someone the benefit of the doubt, only to be betrayed again. And so, instead of taking emotional risks, they retreat. Instead of trying again, they step back. Instead of opening doors, they lock them. People misunderstand this as hate, but it's really fear mixed with intelligence. They've seen enough to know that not everyone deserves access to their inner world. Interestingly, people who say they hate people often have higher emotional intelligence than average. They can read intentions, analyze behavior, and sense patterns quickly. Their minds are always scanning, always categorizing, always protecting. Their dislike of people is rarely random, it's calculated, shaped by years of experiences that taught them to be reserved. And here's the irony. Many of them have huge hearts. They feel deeply. They care intensely. They just learned to hide it because life punished them for being open. Another trait these people share is a strong sense of independence. They don't like relying on others. They prefer doing things alone. They don't want to owe anyone anything. And they don't want emotional obligations or expectations placed on them. They build routines, habits, and lives that require as little external dependency as possible. It's not because they hate people. It's because dependency means vulnerability, and vulnerability means risk. Yet, despite all of this, these individuals do crave connections, just very carefully. They want real relationships with real people. They want loyalty, honesty, and emotional consistency. They want someone who doesn't drain their energy, but adds peace to their life. They want someone who understands that silence doesn't mean rejection, and distance doesn't mean hatred. They want someone who never forces interaction, never takes their boundaries personally, and never demands emotional availability they're not ready to give. Deep inside, they don't hate humanity. They hate the side of humanity that lies, cheats, betrays, manipulates, disappoints, and pretends. They hate how people can be selfish, careless, or cruel. They hate how society encourages fake friendliness instead of real honesty. They hate how people say, "I'm here for you," but disappear when needed. They hate inconsistency, unpredictability, and emotional immaturity. So instead of participating, they choose to retreat. And yet, their story is not over, because beneath their stubborn distance, their emotional caution, and their sharp intuition exists a very simple truth. They don't hate people. They just haven't met enough people worth loving. When someone says they hate people, what they really mean is that human interaction feels like a battlefield one, where every conversation has hidden landmines. Every relationship has potential betrayal, and every new connection carries the possibility of emotional disappointment. Their dislike isn't loud or aggressive. It's quiet, controlled, carefully measured. In their mind, avoiding people isn't an emotional reaction, it's a strategy for survival. These individuals often grew up in environments where they were expected to tolerate unhealthy behavior, parents who yelled without reason, relatives who judged them, classmates who mocked their differences, or partners who played psychological games. They weren't allowed to express discomfort. They weren't allowed to say stop. So they learned something else. If they couldn't control people, they could control their distance from them. That distance became their shield. Over the years, they began noticing the patterns. Most people ignore the way people pretend to care only when it benefits them. The way some friends vanish when you need them most. The way trust can break in a single moment. Once someone experiences this pattern enough times, their brain starts forming rules for protection. People change. People lie. People leave. People disappoint. These rules become hardwired, and the more they observe the world, the more these beliefs feel confirmed. Suddenly, staying alone becomes easier than constantly repairing emotional injuries. But here's the deeper psychology. People who say they hate people often carry emotional hypervigilance. Their nervous system is always on alert. They notice tone shifts that others miss. They pick up on subtle tension in a room. They sense when someone's intentions feel off, long before anything actually happens. This sensitivity isn't a flaw, it's an evolved form of self-defense. When you've been harmed by people, your mind trains itself to detect danger early. For them, meeting someone new is not a simple introduction. It's a psychological evaluation. What are their intentions? Are they genuine? Will they create drama? Do they respect boundaries? Are they emotionally stable or unpredictable? Their brain answers these questions before words are even exchanged. And if something feels wrong even slightly, they retreat without hesitation. People call them cold or distant, but they're really just protecting their peace. Yet there's something fascinating about this group. Despite their claim of hating people, they often feel other people's emotions far more intensely than the average person. They notice when someone is uncomfortable, insecure, or pretending to be confident. They can sense pain behind a smile or tension behind politeness. This depth of emotional perception makes them incredibly empathetic, but it also overwhelms them. Too much emotional input from others drains them quickly, making solitude feel like a recharge station. They don't hate people, they hate emotional chaos. Another powerful trait they possess is their high intolerance for dishonesty. Small lies, sugar-coated truths, fake compliments, forced social interactions, these are things they simply cannot stand. They've been lied to before. They've been manipulated before. So when someone displays even a hint of insincerity, they lose interest instantly. This makes their social circle very small, but extremely loyal. They don't need many people. They just need the right ones. People misunderstand this selectiveness as antisocial behavior, but in reality, it's emotional filtering. They're not avoiding everyone, they're avoiding the wrong ones. Their standards for who gets close to them are high because they've learned the cost of letting the wrong person in. They'd rather have no one than have someone who drains their energy, disrupts their peace, or threatens their emotional balance. They crave relationships that feel real, calm, consistent, and honest. They want conversations without hidden agendas, connections without manipulation, and friendships that don't require them to perform or pretend. They want people who are emotionally grown, not emotionally chaotic. But because these qualities are rare, they prefer solitude until the right person comes along. Internally, many of these individuals struggle with a conflict they rarely talk about. On one hand, they deeply desire safety, peace, independence, and emotional control. On the other hand, they still have a human need for connection, if they resist it. They may long for someone who understands their silence, respects their boundaries, and doesn't take their distance personally. Someone who doesn't pressure them, doesn't overwhelm them, and doesn't force them to be more social than their nervous system allows. But here's the irony. The people who claim to hate people are often incredibly loyal once they trust someone. When they let someone into their inner world, they're honest, dependable, and deeply supportive. They give selectively, but give fully. They don't offer shallow friendship, they offer genuine connection. Their loyalty isn't casual. It's rare, intense, and long. But earning it requires patience, consistency, and emotional honesty, qualities that most people don't offer. They also carry a quiet sadness. Not the dramatic kind, not the tearful kind, but a subtle, hidden heaviness. A feeling that the world is unpredictable, that people are unreliable, and that they must constantly protect themselves. This sadness doesn't control them, but it shapes the way they view others. It keeps them guarded. It reminds them of every betrayal, every disappointment, every time they trusted someone they shouldn't have. And yet, despite all of this, there's a part of them that still hopes that someone out there is different, that someone out there won't leave, that someone out there won't lie, betray, manipulate, or take advantage. They might not believe in many good people, but they do believe in a few good ones. And for those few, they're willing to open doors that remain shut for everyone else. These individuals also often carry a deep sense of personal responsibility. They don't want to burden others with their problems. They don't want to appear weak or needy. They don't want to depend on someone who might judge them later, so they keep their struggles private. They deal with life alone. They fight silent battles no one knows about, and because they rarely ask for help, the world assumes they don't need anyone, which only reinforces their isolation. But something powerful happens when they meet someone who understands their psychology, someone who doesn't push, someone who doesn't judge, someone who doesn't mistake distance for rejection. For the first time, they feel seen, not the version they show the world, but the version they hide. And when that happens, their walls don't fall instantly, but they begin to soften. Because at the core of it, these individuals are not cold, they are cautious. They are not heartless, they are protective. They are not hateful, they are healing. They don't hate people. They hate being hurt by people. And until they feel safe, truly safe, they keep their distance. Not because they want to be alone forever, but because they refuse to repeat the past. There's a moment in the life of someone who says they hate people that shifts everything, usually decades before they ever say it out loud. A moment when they realized people could hurt without warning, could leave without explanation, could change without reason. For some, it was a childhood memory, standing in a room filled with voices, but feeling completely unseen. For others, it was heartbreak watching someone they trusted walk away with pieces of them they never got back. And for many, it was a slow accumulation of disappointments, so subtle that, one day, they simply snapped and said, "I'm done." But the truth is, they weren't done with people. They were done with pain. Over time, their brain adapted. The world became divided into two categories, safe and unsafe. And most people fell into the second category. Not because everyone is dangerous, but because danger always came disguised as someone familiar. The friend who betrayed them wasn't a stranger. The partner who lied wasn't a stranger. The family member who emotionally neglected them wasn't a stranger. So their mind learned that closeness is the real threat, not strangers. Not crowds, but closeness. This is why these individuals can socialize when needed, work meetings, public places, daily interactions, but avoid emotional intimacy like fire. They can handle surface-level conversations just fine. What they avoid is vulnerability. What they protect is their inner world. People misinterpret this as arrogance or rudeness, but it's really a kind of emotional allergy. The closer someone tries to get, the more their instincts activate. What do they want from me? What if they get too close? What if they hurt me like the others? What if this ends the same way everything else ended? Their avoidance isn't hatred, fear wearing armor. The irony is that they wish they could trust. They secretly envy those who can form friendships easily, who can laugh loudly with groups, who can text people without analyzing every word. They wish relationships didn't feel dangerous. They wish openness didn't feel like exposure. But wishing doesn't erase memory. The past has roots, deep ones, and those roots wrap around their emotions tightly. Many of these individuals spiral into overthinking. They replay past disappointments like a movie that never stops. A friend's betrayal might have happened 10 years ago, but the echo still shapes their decisions today. A painful breakup might be long healed on the surface, but beneath that surface remains a silent promise they made to themselves. Never again. Never again will I trust blindly. Never again will I ignore red flags. Never again will I let someone break me. This mindset becomes their emotional backbone. Another powerful part of their psychology is their relationship with energy. These individuals experience people fatigue quickly. Social interactions drain them, not because they dislike humans, but because they absorb everything: tone, tension, emotions, hidden meanings, inconsistencies. Being around too many people at once feels like too many frequencies hitting their minds simultaneously. They need silence the way others need noise. They need space the way others need company. Their solitude isn't loneliness, it's maintenance. It's how they stabilize, how they reset, how they regain emotional control in solitude. They can breathe without analyzing. They can exist without defending. They can think without interruption. And yet, even though they guard their peace fiercely, they still feel deeply, sometimes too deeply. They might cry quietly over memories they never talk about. They might miss people they walked away from. They might feel guilty for needing so much space. They might question whether they are the problem, whether they are too hard to love, too complicated to understand, too closed off for real connection. But the truth is far simpler. They've been shaped by their experiences, not broken by them. People who claim to hate people are often the most loyal individuals once they feel safe. They are the type of people who won't betray you once you earn their trust, won't disappear without explanation, won't lie just to protect their ego, won't pretend to be someone they're not. Their honesty is raw. Their loyalty is rare. Their presence, when allowed, is powerful.